Hey Jesse,
Hey,
thanks for coming out. Thanks for
of
having
course.
this conversation with me.
I'm looking forward to it all week.
Yeah, exactly. So let's start with some introductions. I'll go first. Colin Gilchrist, CEO and founder of Union Kitchen, food business accelerator, and of which Swizzler is a member. So
Yep. I'm Jesse Konig. I'm one of the co-founders and co-CEOs of Swizzler. We are a mission-based food company that's out here to create easy access to real food. Most known for our first brick and mortar we opened late last year. Food trucks, catering business, lots of good stuff.
awesome, very cool. And you make great food, which I'm excited to talk about. But I think starting off, co-CEO, that means you have a partner in this.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
That is Ben Johnson. He's my business partner. We are attached to the hip most of the times. But as far as our roles in the business, we try to big things up a little bit. Where I'm focused more on the external side of the business. So a lot of it's like recruiting and HR, doing some things around finance, administrative stuff, accounting. He focuses more on like our operations, day-to-day stuff we're doing here.
So first of all, Ben, we miss you.
Yes, I know. Couldn't make it. Very sad. He sends his best.
Yeah, and two, the splitting of how you run a company with two founding partners, because you guys founded together, is a really interesting thing, and we'll have to talk about more of that. But first, so Swizzler, you talked a little about that. You described it a little bit. So you have a brick and mortar store right now.
Yep.
You're selling. What do you guys do there?
So it's sort of like
And where is it?
So it's in the Navy Yard. So if you're ever visiting Washington D.C., right by the ballpark, about a half block away. But it is our take on fast food, almost like McDonald's for millennials. If you were to create a fast food company today, what would it be like? Bright colors, clean, awesome service. We specialize in 100% grass-fed, grass-finished, all-American classics. We've got our grass-fed beef burgers. We make our own veggie burgers from scratch. We've got awesome fries. We've also got our CPG fries that are out there in the world as well.
Right here, yes.
Yeah, and we're getting our hot dogs that we started with back on the menu over there soon too. So, got one-stop shop for all your favorite all-American classics.
Gotcha. So you have and I just want to set the kind of environment. So you have a store, burgers, dogs, fries, a lot of delicious stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, right? It's grass-fed, but it's delicious.
Yes, that's it.
And then you guys do more than that. So describe the other segments of the business for everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get there, but starting out where we are today, we've still got a lot of the stuff that we started with and we got known for in the city. So we've got food trucks that go out and do lots of private events, lots of partnerships around the city and things like beer gardens. Traditionally, we've done a lot of farmers markets, although we're in currently COVID world still a little bit, so some of that stuff's a little different right now. We also have a great catering business, consumer packaged goods products, so we're really all over the spectrum a little bit, but focusing on all American meats, really great ingredients, but also really awesome flavor, making sure it tastes as good as it looks.
So at Union Kitchen, consumer packaged goods, CPG is obviously a big deal.
Yeah.
Tell me about your CPG product.
So, we'll get, I'm sure, into kind of why we got into this in the first place,
Yeah.
but one thing that's been very clear from day one is that we've had raving fans of our French fries. So it's been something people talked about but always couldn't get enough of. So as we've been building our business and thinking about the strategy around how we want to grow, one of the things we really want to focus on is, first of all, giving people what they want, but also finding ways that we can create savings in our business. We can give our customers the highest quality food at the best price. And one way we're doing that is by starting an awesome line of CPG fries. People love our French fries in person. No one likes delivery fries or the fries you currently get at the grocery store. So we've been manufacturing our own potatoes, our own French fries from potatoes all along. We've learned a lot from doing that for many years. So we've gone ahead and created our own seasoned fries that are the best, same quality fries that we use and deep fry at our restaurants. So you can bake off at home and have an amazing French fry at home as well.
Super cool. So you guys are making a frozen French fry, and you're just doing it better than what you're going to find in the grocery store right now.
Yeah, I think they're a great example of our philosophy. We just don't take shortcuts when it comes to our food. And when you look at the big manufacturers, the big people out there, they're optimizing for getting millions and millions of pounds and tons. I don't know how much from potatoes out the door.
A lot, yeah.
And every second counts, every dollar matters. But for us, we take a huge amount of pride. This is the product that we use when we're serving our burgers and fries at our restaurant, at our food trucks. So we're not willing to cut corners or to take shortcuts that are going to impact quality. So we're doing it the right way. It really truly is the best fry that you can make at home. And when you pair it off with some of our sauces that we make or any plastic ketchup at home, you really just can't get any better.
Very cool. And so you guys are doing a lot of cool stuff, right? We talked about it. You got the stores, the catering, the food trucks, and you've launched a CPG to kind of bring that taste to people's homes. Love it. What I want to work through is like how do we get here, right? You've been on this journey since when did you start?
2014.
That's pretty good. So quick math, 7 years.
Yeah, time flies.
Exactly. And so, I want to learn a little bit about that. So you and Ben, you started this business in 2014, or?
Yeah, it's like where we met. It was actually in college. So we met in probably 2010. We went to Wake Forest University down in North Carolina.
Demon Deacons?
Demon Deacons, home of Tim Duncan, Chris Paul, lots of greats out of there. But yes, we met in college, and we actually kind of started like the first iteration of the business. It wasn't the same thing we're doing now, but definitely got the inspiration and kind of started the first little bit of it down in school, and that helped us, make the leap and actually.
Why?
So.
Were you hungry and you started making food, or?
Kind of. It's funny, like looking back on it, there was always this underpinning or like this groaning on campus about how food options were terrible. It was very much about like what food the higher ups on campus wanted to give to the students and not what students actually wanted to eat. So we were in an entrepreneurship class challenge in I think our junior year and had a challenge to launch a business on campus. And naturally, like the food was the biggest problem we saw for ourselves and for our friends. So we decided to launch this spiral cut hot dog fun thing on campus for a few days. We even took it upon ourselves to do it, not for credit for class, but go to a bar near campus and sell them there to see how it would work. And
for cash.
For cash, yeah.
Even better than credit.
Even better. And I think this ended up really getting us excited about not only the feedback and the excitement from our friends and people we didn't know would be like, "You're the hot dog guys, when are you doing that again?" Ultimately, we were like, "Hey, this is pretty awesome. Like, we had a lot of fun with this. Why don't we spend a bunch of time doing this our senior year, going into our senior year, try to create a business and make some money, we can go travel after graduation, do a bunch of fun stuff." So that was the original kind of inception of the business, but it led us to, all sorts of peaks and valleys on our way to getting where we are today. But where the first thing it led us to is getting a food truck and launching our food truck in DC.
So idea came from an entrepreneurship class in school. I love that. Was that an assignment? You guys were all taking it?
I actually was in the class, and we had been talking about doing this on campus anyway as like a way to make money.
Yeah.
And then it was like a perfect way to get onto the campus grounds. Like we weren't really even allowed to do it anyway. And looking back, I understand why. Like no food safety knowledge, nothing like we would need to actually.
You gotta break rules, Jesse.
Yeah.
You gotta break or eggs or whatever the phrase is.
It was a classic ask for forgiveness rather than permission situation. So we got like a 3-day pass. Got to do it on campus. We broke the class record.
And you were making hot dogs.
Spiral cut hot dogs.
Spiral cut hot dogs.
Yeah.
What is that? Describe that for me.
So ultimately, we refined our product to really focus on where the meat was coming from as well. But even in the early days, we realized there was a little bit of a better mousetrap of making a hot dog. It was spiral cutting them so that you get. We did this math when we were in college. We had some friends who were engineers help us, but it's like 350% more surface area of grillability onto the grill, which makes it so like when you take a bite of a hot dog, that first bite's really great, crisp, delicious, but then you get that kind of mystery meat fleshy part in the middle.
Yeah.
This, by like scoring it in that way and opening it up, you get that kind of great bite all the way through, more room for toppings. We found it was kind of a fun tie-in later on because we really were focusing on the quality of the meat. And this was a way we're like, hey, we're not afraid of our mystery meat. We're going to open it up. We're going to show you what's on the inside. We're also going to load it up with awesome toppings on top. So that's kind of how we got to our original food truck concept in DC.
A better hot dog.
Better mousetrap. We call it Old Dog New Tricks.
Old Dog New Tricks. That's good.
Yeah.
So you're in school. You get this idea. You mess around on campus. You don't get kicked out of school. You graduate.
We graduated. Yes.
You graduate, and you come to DC to start a food truck. But why did you come to DC?
So we did a lot of research. Like I think we were coming at it from not really like a super foodie background. It was more like, all right, we're gonna start this business. What do you need to do? So
coming from like a more of a business mindset.
Yeah, business mindset. Ultimately, we knew that we wanted to end up in a restaurant. And a lot of the inspiration came from in 2010. If you like transport back or 2014, 7 or 8 years ago, This was not right at the beginning of the fast casual movement, but a lot of these businesses you see today weren't out there. Sweet Green had a few units in DC, and pizza was still pretty small. Chipotle was big, but not as ubiquitous as they are today. Cava, a lot of these things that like us, especially in DC, know of, and they're national brands now. They were in their infancy stages, so we saw all these other types of food being innovated on, and we were like, well, we had this idea for a fun way to do a hot dog. It's like the oldest food there is. Maybe there's an opportunity here. But that's kind of like where we left it at. We thought it was fun, it was unique, it was different, and we sort of ran with it, and that led us into the next part of the journey. But I think it's a good lesson for anyone who's listening to this, is that sometimes you just need to start and you like learn along the way, and you pivot and you figure things out. We landed at this great mission that we're super proud of and that keeps us energized 7 years later, but that doesn't happen when it's not like, oh, the food sucks on campus, let's make something better, let's make some money so you can travel.
There's many steps in between.
There are many steps in between. You have to take the first one or you don't get to the second or third.
This is the entrepreneurial journey.
That's the journey, there it is.
And so you start your business, I meet you and I meet Ben. And
I will bring up that maybe a lesson at the Union Kitchen level is that they saw, don't always invest in the idea, sometimes it's in the people. Because I remember we kind of got laughed out of the room about spiral cut hot dogs, but once you taste it, you see little whatever's on there, on these crazy toppings, you can taste the difference.
Well, a lesson we've learned over the years, and I think a great example is you guys, what are you betting on? Are you betting on a product? Are you betting on a taste? Or are you betting on the ability of someone to go through the journey, to be resilient, to stick it out, to do the hard things, and to learn, right? And I think you guys have always been focused on that, maybe because it started as a project at school, and you've continued to have this learning mindset. So, you come in the kitchen, you get a food truck, and you start a business right out of school. You haven't even had a job. This is your first job.
It's the first job. We studied in school, we had majors and minors, but yeah, this was like first job.
Sorry, what did you guys study?
So Ben actually had more of like the traditional business school background. He had a business enterprise management degree with a focus in marketing, and I think a minor in entrepreneurship. We kind of cheated because we knew we were going to start a business after school, so we were doing like entrepreneurship stuff at the end of our school careers. I was originally on like a finance track in school and ended up switching and graduating as an English major.
Okay,
so
good.
A little bit of a twist.
Yes. Well, most English majors go into food, so it made sense.
Yes, usually on the grill, probably.
Yeah. Okay, so awesome. So you start the food truck, and I was there, day one, and food's delicious. You guys are making awesome food. You're doing a great job telling the story. Instagram was good. The truck looks awesome, and I think you guys were doing well. So what were those first few years like?
I think it was really an amazing journey, and we learned so much. When we were first getting up and running, we didn't know what we were doing. So being in a place like Union Kitchen was awesome because all these people had all this experience, and we were the annoying people in the background just asking a million questions. I remember we asked some chef like how to caramelize an onion, and they thought we were crazy. They're like, what are you talking about? Just oil, onion, salt, pepper, that's kind of it. But we definitely look back at those times and kind of laugh about them now, of all the improvements we've made, but we kind of looked at it as our mini MBA culinary degree, really learning a lot about the business and being in it and really understanding the passion it takes to run a food business, because it's really, really hard. But as far as our actual food trucks went, they were pretty successful. We took us a few months to get our feet under us, but we were there in and out every single day, 7 days a week, doing every single part of the business, and it started to pay off. We got a best new food truck accolades from a lot of different things.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, DC is actually the second, arguably the first, but the second largest food truck city in the country.
Okay.
LA being
I like
one, and DC is
fuck LA.
Yeah.
Right, I'm from Boston. Fuck LA.
Yeah. So DC is arguably the most competitive food truck spot in the country. We came in, there was already kind of incumbents, people there. We actually kind of just copied what they did for our first few months.
It's a good way to start.
Exactly, and then we started changing and doing things our own way. We started going to universities, started going to different places around the city. We won best food truck our second year, food truck runner-up, stuff like that. A lot of accolades, articles. But for us, I think what got us most excited is we started seeing lots of regulars. We go to different parts of the city and see the same faces all over again. We ended up getting a second food truck. We started doing farmers markets. We started doing catering. We started just finding ways that could branch out and just touch as many people as possible in the DC market.
And through this, you guys are making these spiral cut hot dogs, Swizzlers, fries, and veggie dogs. Is that?
Yeah, we did veggie dogs early on.
But that's the whole menu, right?
Pretty much.
You guys are doing well with that.
And that was the food truck thing. It was about being really good at one thing. And I think one other thing that set us apart was just the quality of what we were doing. Like, unique, fun, Instagrammable. It gets you a little bit of the way, but our reason that people kept coming back was the quality of the food we were putting out. We were getting these awesome locally baked buns from a local bakery really early on. We were sourcing hot dogs from Chicago. When we first realized we were going to be in a very protein-heavy business, we started doing research like you would at college, watching Netflix documentaries, reading The Omnivore's Dilemma, trying to figure out where our food came from. And as we learned more about the meat industry, we realized how fucked up it was, or is still today. We're working on that. And we realized we wanted to support grass-fed, grass-finished beef. That's what we were going to do. So we did all this research trying to figure that out, and we ended up getting hot dogs shipped to us by the pallet from Chicago. Before we really made hardly any sales, we're buying, I don't even know, 1,200 pounds of hot dogs and storing them and just figuring it out along the way, spiral cutting them by hand before we designed a machine to do it. So there's definitely lots of learning throughout that process, but ultimately by having inventive toppings, by being there every single day to make sure we give guests great experiences and focusing on the quality of the ingredients, we're able to build kind of a cult following around food trucks and hot dogs.
And I love that. And so you guys are making these spiral cut hot dogs, and I love, going from hand to getting a machine. That's an important part of this journey, is learning how to leverage machines. But you're crushing it. You've got best food truck, second best food, whatever, like lots of good food trucks. And so, you're thinking about retirement and, how you can, just ride this to glory. But that's not what happened.
Not quite. I think I've listened to a few of the past Food Founders podcasts. I'm sure at some point one of the setbacks is going to come up, and I think for us, this was a point where one of those kind of valleys hit, where we were doing really well on paper. It was great on Instagram. People were excited about it, but we were starting to get burnt out. We didn't have the type of operation that was really scalable.
Where does this go?
Yeah, right? Where does it go? We want to grow. We only know if we have exactly what we're looking for. We're trying to bring on a team and train them on what it's supposed to do. We're questioning, does this even work when you're hiring a team? Does it only work when you're doing it yourself? And trying to figure out all these different things. And that's when we sort of had our all right, we need to figure this out, and this is either time to go all in or it's time to kind of call it quits and figure out how to get out of this thing at this moment.
Well, you didn't quit.
Didn't quit. No.
And so you guys went all in, and so, for you, that meant looking at the business, trying to figure out how could we scale this, how could we reach more people. You've talked a little bit about, this mission. So tell me a little bit about the mission and how that helped you, pivot a little bit towards maybe where you are today.
Yeah, I think it wasn't so clearly outlined at this point, but the nuggets were there, and where we are today is it's creating easy access to real food. You could look at it a few different ways. Maybe it's price point, maybe it's making it convenient and fun and food people know, but either way, it's about giving high quality ingredients to people in a way they want, that they love, that's affordable, that they can get to.
Well, a lot of people have done the getting food to people.
Yes.
But I think there's a lot of questions about the quality of the food.
Yes.
So for you guys, it's quality, then get to people.
Exactly. And I think we were really trying to figure this out because we knew this is hard. We learned this for 3 or 4 years. This is really difficult. So we knew we needed a bigger, higher purpose to get us out of bed in the morning and keep doing what we were doing. What we found later on, which is great, is really helped us build a team and helped us be different in the market because, where we are today, as you said at the start of the show, is we're doing fast food. And what we landed on was this old dog new tricks idea around hot dogs. What really stood out to people was it was nostalgia. It was something you grew up on and love, but you don't really want to eat today because that whole mystery meat thing. And we looked
How many hot dogs can you eat?
When we found that, we'd have people that would come up to us and be like, I love what you guys are doing, but this is my hot dog for this month. I'll see you next month.
I'm more of a quarter.
Quarterly, yeah. And some people are once a year, or at a baseball game.
I was being kind. Yeah, I don't know the last time I had one.
Maybe
I don't know the last time I had a hot dog that wasn't a Swizzler.
That's the idea. So we've kind of arrived at today is we want to ruin fast food for people. We want to put out such a higher quality version of what they're used to that it blows their mind. They're I can't eat this other thing because it makes me feel bad. Whether it's the quality and my stomach's upset or I just don't believe it anymore. But how we arrived there is we were identifying mystery meat, climate change, people's health, all these things were happening. And even if you do all the right things about I want to buy local or organic or sustainable or regenerative, all these different buzzwords, it's expensive to do that. So we started realizing where is this affordable calories coming from? And we started realizing that fast food is the tip of the spear that's driving a lot of things that happen in the back end of the food industry, and we wouldn't have realized that unless we got into the weeds and did this for a few years.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we realized there's a huge opportunity here. It's a big hurdle and obstacle because you're going against literally the biggest food companies in the world. I think McDonald's has 13,000 domestic locations that do $2.7 million on average each.
Big number.
Yeah, very big number. And then you've got Burger King, you've got Wendy's, you've got slightly better burgers that really are just marketing and it's not really that much better for you or for the planet. So we started realizing this could be our calling. This is what we wanted to do. Creating easy access to real food and starting with fast food. That's like enemy number one. That's where we can kind of make the biggest impact and create something that is not just slightly better than the other guys, that's 10 times better than the McDonald's of the world, because you'll just taste the difference when you come in the door.
So you realize the opportunity is to meet people where they are, and everyone's at fast food.
Yep.
Even if we're lying to ourselves, we're getting some McDonald's here and there.
Yeah, people don't talk about it. It's funny. It's something like no one goes out and like calls their friend or like tags out on Instagram, oh, I got this awesome Big Mac yesterday. So I think that's what we realized. Like it's kind of like an unspoken, under the surface thing that's going on. It's still billions and billions of dollars every single year is spent on that. When you think about how many calories, what percentage of like the adolescents or adults are eating this on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, it's kind of staggering. And like it's difficult to get in here. You've got a lot of challenges to be able to compete with these guys. So it's a really hard problem. It's something we've worked on for a long time, but we've realized that it's worthwhile, it's exciting, it gets us up in the morning, and it makes people really happy because it's food they love to eat.
Well, it's a couple things. One, it's what people want. You don't have to go here and recreate it. You don't have to educate them. It's what they want. And two, you can do it better. Better for them, better for the environment, better tasting. Those are pretty awesome things and still kind of meet them. So anyways, you learn that, you figure that out, and that drives you to start making, more than just hot dogs and fries. And you guys kind of launched the next phase of your business.
Yeah, like I said, this was sort of like that low point, but it was also that aha moment, kind of 2 in 1. Around the same time, we ended up launching a Kickstarter campaign. One of our trucks had like slightly broken down. We needed to do repairs, and we said, rather than like selling it or just kind of like fixing it, doing the same old same, let's like reach out to the people that know us, that believed in us, who've been following along for the last few years. We raised, I think, $28,000 or something like that on Kickstarter, revamped our truck, turned it into a burger truck. We started doing a test kitchen farmers market. We were doing all these different crazy burger things. So we got lines of 40 or 50 people, and it became like a big phenomenon down by the White House on Thursdays. That was like, okay, we thought we had an idea. Now we know, like, no, not rocket science, but people love burgers. Who knew? And then from there, we were like, how do we take this to the next level? And that's where we really learned that the fast food angle where we wanted to go, and ultimately that led us to really having a good reason to get into a brick and mortar location. Before we always knew, like, let's do a restaurant, sounds like a great idea, but it's hard to justify the economics around, hey, I'll eat a hot dog every quarter, and then I'm gonna go open a restaurant for it.
That is hard, right? And you had 2 trucks, but there was obviously a bigger market.
Yes.
In burgers, as you thought, but then you tested, and I love this, you went to the markets, farmers markets, and literally just tried it out.
Yeah.
And people responded. Okay, great. Then you retrofitted your dog truck to turn it into a burger truck, and you kept testing it, and it worked.
Yep.
And so that led to the idea of cool. So we've always wanted to have a restaurant or kind of a brick and mortar store. Now's our opportunity. We can focus on this kind of expanded menu of fast food. Awesome. So you opened a store.
We did, yeah. That was also an interesting part of what we had going on. We were supposed to open last March 2020.
Okay, tough timing.
Tough timing, yeah. So we ended up having to shuffle things around a bit. Ended up opening in November of this past year.
Okay.
And that was like, brought us way back all the way to the beginning of opening our first truck. Luckily, we learned a lot, but we knew at that point, like, some of the stuff we just got to figure out when we do it. It's not going to be perfect. We're just going to do as much as we can, and like we'll fix it, we'll change it, we'll make it happen. So, we still were running the food trucks. That was keeping the lights on. We got this restaurant up and running. That was this new thing that we were trying to figure out and build systems and build a team for.
Yeah.
We were still really thinking about the quality of our ingredients. We're making our own veggie burgers. We're still making our own fries, manufacturing those. We created a commissary production manufacturing kitchen at a union kitchen that was feeding our restaurant, feeding our food trucks, creating that consistency. So there's a lot of moving parts, and I think we were lucky to have had the experience of running multiple trucks and catering events and farmers markets. We had the whole multi-unit, a little bit of experience doing that. But we're still getting 1% better every day. That's one of our core values, is getting 1% better every day, making little improvements, making little tweaks, and we're excited to really prove out our concept at this store, and then begin to open more locations where people love to eat fast food. Go to where our customers are, find the places where there's all the fast food people, and give them a much better option and keep growing and expanding from there.
Yeah, I love that. I want to hear about kind of where you take this. Just one quick note is we were talking to Sammy from Snacklands.
Yeah.
And he talked about his personal mission, and a little bit of the mission of the company was to make people's lives 1% better. And this idea of incrementally improving things, I think, is really powerful for an entrepreneur. For me, starting this business, it was like, well, I think you can do a little bit better. And you can do a little bit better, and Sammy thinks they can do a little bit better. And that's an important part of the kind of mindset that comes into starting something and then putting up with all the hard stuff and coming out kind of on the other end, or if not the other end, partway through with something.
Yeah, I think for us, the way it ties in today is that we think about this like we want to get better as we get bigger. A lot of these companies historically, as they get bigger, they get worse. They cut corners, they take shortcuts. We want to get better as we get bigger, so we're building this into our DNA from day one. We want an organization of people that are adaptable, that look to evolve and get better every single day. And if we can do that, and there's going to be a day we miss here and there, but we're always striving to improve, to have better quality, and to continue further in our mission, because it's bigger than making people happy every single day. That's a huge part of what we do and gets us excited. But we also know that there's also a big impact we can make on people's health, on the environment, on helping the country source meat and food in a better way, and we can just do that just one burger, one day, one smile at a time.
Love it. Very cool. Awesome. Well, your story is, for me, really interesting, because you've been in business 7 years, and you came right out of school, naive, not really knowing what's going on, not knowing how to caramelize an onion, and you've learned so much, and you make great food. You've had the ups and downs, and ultimately you're kind of on a path that is really positive. You've got these lines of business. You have the CBG product, which is badass. You've got an awesome restaurant. You have food trucks that have been successful, for years, and you build this catering. And there's kind of a lot ahead of you. You touched on this. You want to be able to open more stores. Super cool. And I can't wait to see that. What I'd love to kind of wrap up on, though, is just thinking about, and I always ask the question, what's been the hardest thing that's happened, but you've learned from? Kind of the biggest loss, but the biggest lesson that you've had.
Yeah, I think maybe it wasn't directly a lesson from the event, but it was something that we kind of came out with a really big takeaway. It was right around the pandemic hitting. We had all this momentum. 2019, we finally felt like we figured things out. We had our best sales here with our food trucks. We'd signed this lease. We had all these great plans to get open right before baseball season. We had the World Series Nationals coming out of 2019. We were ready to start the 2020 season. So everything felt like it was finally coming together. And then literally black swan event, the world changes. So that was obviously a huge deflation. We had to figure out what to do. We had people on our team. We tried to keep as many of them. Anyone who wanted to continue working, we kept on board. Ended up only being one guy who's still with us today. It was awesome. He runs our trucks. We kept going out in the streets, serving people food. Even though it was incredibly slow, as you might imagine, during the peak pandemic.
Yeah, it's tough. Food truck.
Yeah, it's tough. Not what you want when you lose, 99% of your business overnight. So that makes it difficult. We had to innovate and pivot. But I think part of the thing was really great is that it forced, more than anything else, Ben and I to take a step back and say, hey, we've been riding this momentum, we've been riding this wave, things are going great, but we have an opportunity to really rethink the future of the business and think big and think what we want to do. And part of keeping ourselves sane, we were out at the store working on construction projects and stuff rather than staying in the house. So spent a lot of time together working on those things. And we would just take breaks and just talk about what we want to do, what we really look for in the future, and that helped us take the nuggets and the kernels and
all the feeling, all the ideas,
and finally get them down in a way that was on paper, where we could communicate to our team and to people going forward. so we can actually make this, the thing we wanted to create into reality.
Yeah, like a mission and core values and a strategy.
Yeah, like some of that stuff was there, but I think it's something that a lot of entrepreneurs run into is like you've got it in your head and you're so close to it all the time that it's hard to imagine that someone coming in would not know these things.
Yeah.
And you have to take a step back and it's like, hey, like we need to find a structured way to teach people what we're all about and what we care about. And someone being on your shoulder every day or on your hip every day works for a little while, but you start quickly getting to the size where you can't be multiple places at once. I'm sure you know more.
Team building.
Yeah, team building stuff. So that was a big part, a big takeaway, and realizing like we know what we want to do, and we really refined that in that period of kind of stillness, and we were just ready then more than ever to come out re-energized on the other side of this thing, and that's where we are today.
And you got open.
We got open.
Which is a win. And so my next question is like, what has been your biggest win? 7 years, what's the thing that you're most proud of?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I'm probably biased to the present a little bit.
Well, you should be.
Yeah.
Every day is better.
Yeah, when you're doing 1% better every day, and the present's always
Right
ahead.
now, talking to Cullen.
This is it.
Yeah.
We had a lot of awesome moments along the way and like so many celebrations and great parts, but I think what right now I'm thinking about the biggest win was recently we opened the store in November. I know I was there as like the acting GM. Ben was, doing all the things he has to do in his plate normally, but also running our commissary kitchen and our food truck. So we were a little bit disconnected at that point. I had to be running the store, and it was just really getting into the weeds and feeling it out. And this past May or so, being able to pass off those responsibilities to our first general manager, Anisha, shout out to her, she's been doing an amazing job since too, but she came in as a team member, learned our system from the ground up, got 1% better every day within 3 or 4 months, was ready to take over the reins. We were happy to hand it over to her because the big win for me is like, one, seeing people grow is always amazing. It's really cool to see like those opportunities create, and we hope to make more of those for so many more people on our team. But also, Ben and I finally being in a position almost to be spending more of our time on the business instead of in the business, so we can help make this vision a reality. There's so much that happens outside of the cooking and the serving and putting smiles on people's faces to make these visions that we have and these lofty goals and make them real. So we're really excited to just take the rest of this year, the next few months, to be getting these processes, these systems, these things set up so we can have a period of growth coming up. It's going to be really exciting for the business.
I mean, that is really, and congrats, that's really awesome. Like, you'd be able to build the systems, to build something that works, to build a team and a manager that can operate within that and be successful, and now start working on what's next. More stores, more CPG, more growth, and something that is worth building. It's really cool. So congrats on all that stuff. Congrats on what you've done, and I'm really excited for what's to come. I should go get a burger and some fries and a Swiss dog. Be good. So thanks so much, Jesse. Appreciate you coming, telling the story, working through all this. This is fun.
Yeah, it's fun for me too. Happy to come back anytime.
All right, we'll do that.
Thanks.
All right, take care.